Hello and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. A PDF headline from the recent XRP currency price surge explains why investors might want to consider doing so. You know exactly where I stand now. I'm Mr. XRP Bull. I have never sold any of my XRP holdings in over 5 years. That's why I'm convinced that's what happened. But let's discuss the rationale for this. The most significant current issue is undoubtedly the prolonged wait for a decision in the SEC versus Ripple case, which is now being heard by Judge Torres. Undoubtedly, people are making predictions and putting wagers. There's more to talk about here, though, and not just the law, rather, the factors driving change. So I'll tell you what was said and give you my take on it, all of which comes from an actual, very well-known member of the XRP community. Sorry to be the bearer of terrible tidings, but you should get ready for this. But here's the crypto industry's fundamental kiss of death for Ripple and XRP, which is perhaps the worst headline you could have dreamed for. Cramer is correct in his prediction that Ripple would eventually surpass SEC. See, that's not what you want to hear, since I'm sure most of you are familiar with inverse Cramer and the fact that it is a real thing. Whatever Jim Cramer says, the opposite happens in reality, because he's the worst quote-unquote financial genius that lives on the entire planet. This guy is the worst. If he were trying to break through in today's social media era instead of being famous for decades because he found his way through a door back in the day, he would never make it since he is so incredibly wrong and has no idea what he's talking about. And despite his obvious ignorance, he often expresses unwavering conviction in his ideas. Yes, it's true that lawyer John Dean also responded with a humorous remark. Just to be clear from the start, Jim Cramer's speculation that the SEC would lose against Ripple and his subsequent declaration that Ripple will win are the worst possible news for Ripple. At night, I plan to rest. But I want to be very forward about the fact that I have zero backing, either financial or legal, before I go any farther. I'm not qualified to give you financial or legal counsel. And you should not make any financial decisions based on what I write or say. I'm merely a hobbyist that occasionally posts films to YouTube about crypto-related subjects. Besides, for kicks. As I write this, XRP is still performing quite well. At 53.5 cents, the 24-hour change is 2.26%. However, it simply started on a remarkable run. A somewhat recent past. While it recently peaked at 58 cents, XRP is currently trading at 37 cents. Bitcoin is dominant, but a modest correction is to be expected. Bitcoin has fallen by 1.77% over the previous 24 hours, to just under $28,000. The market capitalization of the asset class is $1.18 trillion, at 45.61%. Although the cryptocurrency fear and greed index doesn't update while I'm recording, it does so once every 24 hours. Nonetheless, I thought you should know that I gave it a 60/100. Investors continue to display greed. And in terms of the number of new XRP accounts being generated every day, there has been a tremendous increase, as I said yesterday, and as it appears to be the case today given that I was recording at the time. The day is far from over. I just wanted to let you know that the number of new accounts established yesterday was a record high for this time of year in our area, 3,383 as of March 29. It was 2,935 the day before. As a result, XRP has received a flood of new investors. Correctness will provide you great joy. It's looking down since today isn't over yet. There was probably more going on yesterday, so today might be quieter. In the end, perhaps fewer new accounts will be made each day. Yet there's still a lot to do before the day is done. That means the total will increase. It's at 2,594. Wow, that's a lot of interest from the public. Before everything got so exciting, daily new numbers of around 1,000 were more typical. This means that the number of people in that area has recently increased by a factor of 3, at the very least. And, yep, being even a little bit below average does result in some scary news headlines. But let me tell you something. Okay, I get it. From a financial standpoint, XRP has been the subject of nearly exclusively complimentary stories. Furthermore, from a more fundamental standpoint, and even from all sorts of entities that historically like to crap all over XRP, Even those crypto media outlets were being a bit more even-keeled recently, including their coverage regarding the SEC v Ripple case, recognizing, I think, finally the degree to which it matters that we not be tribal, because if our crypto goes down, our beloved XRP crypto of choice goes down. If Bitcoin isn't it, then perhaps they don't know who the hell Satoshi Nakamoto is. Perhaps that's the lone candidate for the crap role. I'm not a Maximus, but XRP is my favorite cryptocurrency, and I don't want to live. No, I'm not a total zealot. So, let's start with the bad news before we get to the good stuff coming out of the crypto bay. Here's the headline again: kiss of death for Ripple, and XRP got a letter that's funny only in a certain sense. Cramer is correct in his assessment that Ripple could end up being more popular than SEC. He's a total farce, this guy. In addition, he put himself in this position, which is why I have no sympathy for him. He's fundamentally mistaken about everything. He has such firm beliefs while knowing little to nothing about the subject at hand. Second, this happened a few times on national television months ago, both times with him clearly having no idea what he was talking about when he called XRP a huge fraud. A massive hoax. What the ever-loving hell are you thinking? The decentralized system is like, sentient and fooling people. Members of the XRP community are worried, as Cramer says Ripple when what Ripple might when the SEC kicks, as your malfunction essay eloquently describes. The XRP community has been on cloud nine in recent weeks, as the cryptocurrency's price has skyrocketed on the back of seemingly unwavering faith that Ripple would prevail in its case before the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. But CNBC Mad Money commentator Jim Cramer's recent comments that the SEC may lose its lawsuit against Ripple have given the community reason for anxiety. To wit, SEC says, look, they are manufacturing securities day after day after day, as he put it on national television the other day. There is a case of Ripples. A victory in the Ripple lawsuit is far from guaranteed. In contrast, Biden's behavior in court is strikingly different. There you go. The pair's Binance is totally unique. If he doesn't do a great job of constructing full phrases, that is. There is a great Binance going on. That's fine, you won't need it. To put it another way, he's giving it the Jim Cramer treatment and it's working. Let's give him the golf equivalent of an applause break, you know. But he is, and I still find myself curious. To what end did he make the remark? Well, he's trashed Ripple and XRP in particular, calling Coin XRP a gigantic fraud and, presumably, Ripple's for taking part in that massive continent. No, since it doesn't make sense. How do you go from there to the SEC turning point? Is it because he's trying to do something he normally wouldn't, like paying attention to facts and situations and how the SEC is engaged in government overreach? Or is it because he's paying attention to headlines and has finally noticed that the SEC is truly not performing well? Well, I'm not going to leap to the conclusion that he's engaging in genuine autonomous thought of a complex type. That would be amazing if it were any other human being on Earth, though. I'm relieved to hear that. But when he says no, I can't help but wonder, what are we missing? These will likely go on forever. It is important to note that the pundit has established himself as an inverse indicator because his forecasts have so often been disproved in both the traditional and cryptocurrency markets. One explanation is that he promotes the buy high, sell low mentality, LP, which is like a tulip if you remember how excited he was about Bitcoin back in April or so, when he first came out, and how he later stated that the price would be even higher in May of 2021. Let's pretend that it's been around 2 years since the markets were roaring and you had the diamond hands and laser vision and all that nonsense. At the time, he was at the pinnacle of his Bitcoin obsession and he tweeted out a request to pay me in Bitcoin. Eventually we get to the meat of what he's trying to sell or what he's trying to communicate. He immediately began recommending that I sell all of my Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. That was the message he initiated. That's why it's important to purchase high and sell low. That sums up Jim Cramer nicely. He's only a beginner investor in the sense that it really is a sight to behold. They persist. The Silicon Valley Bank and the First Republic Bank are the most recent targets of his gaffes. First-class citizens are buying up the former, which failed earlier this month. The latter, on the other hand, is trying to plug a $12 billion hole in its balance sheet before it can go back on the market. The XRP community hasn't had much to worry about from Jim Cramer so far, despite his repeated claims that XRP is a fraud. This is my passion. The XRP community hasn't had to worry about that inverse Cramer, and I'm serious when I say that's how the article reads. Now, the way that is written is fantastic, due to the fact that it's correct. When something is true in some way, even the most absurd assertions take on a comedic quality. Indeed, that is the case here. In the SEC complaint against Ripple, friend of the court John Deaton, who represents thousands of XRP holders, said that the cryptocurrency's latest price fall has begun. The moment the XRP price stopped rising and turned around was when Jim Cramer said Ripple might win the SEC case, as evidenced by this tweet from John D. Relax, Jimmy. Please refer to it as a scam once again. I prefer to refer to him as Tillerson because no one else does. Oh, man, the fun you can have there. Sadly, it's a bigger drawback than most people in the globe realize right now. Just earlier today, Jim Cramer tweeted the inexplicable sentiment, "Happy days are returning again, feeling here." And if Jim Cramer considers the world to be wonderful, that's a scary thought. So, in this tweet from his conversation with the puppeteer, she reportedly had a miniature nuclear bomb going off, and he simply wrote, "Rip stock market. We're in for some difficult times, headbox. But that's why I plan on staying for the foreseeable future." Take a look at this article's title on Coinpedia to see why you shouldn't sell your XRP just yet. I, for one, have no trouble accepting it. This is why I have been dollar cost averaging for years, supplementing my holdings with greater acquisitions in the latter half of 2020. XRP remains my largest single cryptocurrency position by a wide margin. In that respect, I haven't altered my thinking at all. It was a fascinating time for me to enter the cryptocurrency market, right after I seen the XRP bubble expand in the first few weeks I had been following it. After seeing a similar bubble form and burst in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market at large, I figured a correction may take a while. But eventually it arrived. Even now, I believe that XRP would have been forced to reach an all-time high if not for the SEC. Because of these, XRP was the only one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies that didn't reach a new high in April, when it only reached $2. That doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. After the bubble burst half a decade ago, I naively believed that the market would eventually recover, set a new record high, and begin the price discovery phase. For almost 5 years now, I've maintained that stance because I think it's the most reasonable option. Hence, the status quo persists. None of that has happened, and thus my bet is either that it will happen soon or that it will go to zero. So there's no need for me to alter my wager. In this form, one of the two possibilities becomes reality. I'm putting money on a happy outcome. It means XRP will either reach zero or a new all-time high. It's not going to float aimlessly forever, that would be absurd. Something always happens, and then it grows, gets heavier, or vanishes. So, that's where I've put my money, and one of those two outcomes seems likely. Either it will reach a new record high, or it will fall to zero. Which one, exactly, is beyond my ken. But you know what, when I bet no, I think it's going to set a new all-time high, because I've been sitting here talking about it for over half a decade. I simply won't say when it will be. The neat thing about my personal investment approach is that it requires zero effort on my part and does not require me to predict when certain events will take place. Due to the exponential growth of the crypto industry, this was bound to happen sometime. Moreover, XRP certainly has firepower due to its practical applications. That's a topic you two can discuss. But we can simplify this a bit more. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. Hence, you shouldn't even bother reading the article. XRP analysis was the subject of the article. Digital June Financial Services was founded and is led by a member of the community, according to a Pentos macro sneeze. And I find his insights to be pretty valuable. And he has written several fantastic blogs, of which I have covered various portions throughout the years. In my opinion, he does a fantastic job. In my opinion, he's really intelligent. In my opinion, he's got it down pat. He seems to be listening. He's aware of the situation. Here, he offered his own take on things and provided some convincing justifications for XRP current trajectory. Why is it increasing? Perhaps there's more to it than that. There's more to his argument than just the SEC versus Ripple case, he says. I agree that there are many interacting factors to think about. But I'll tell you right off the bat, my opinion, and I'm going to share what he has to say, is that in recent days over the past week, in particular, I think one of the biggest individual parts, arguably this is my suspicion, would be that it has to do specifically with the SEC v Ripple case. That's probably the largest individual component. It's possible that the fact that XRP moves in tandem is the second most important factor in this equation. And since humans are human, they are guessing for no good reason at all. That's a fact, and we're aware of it. These days, therefore, there are also other factors involved. But how well do they really know it? Several of you here have a firm grasp of the intricacies of the XRP ecosystem, its adoption, and other related topics. Yet, I don't think the average coin speculator is that concerned with details. If you're tuning into this station, it's presumably because you share my obsessive level of curiosity. And so, for individuals like us, and I'm not saying there are none of us, there are many of us, in fact are we the numerical majority? Perhaps I do not have any such information at hand. If I had to estimate, I'd say no, I don't believe the vast majority of people put much thought into investments. Which is totally okay. But there are always those who are just a tad bit more knowledgeable, curious, and interested than the average bear. Because of this, we adopt new routines and habits. Knowing the practical applications of XRP from the start gave me more faith than I believe the average speculative would have, and I still hold that view. More adoption is occurring, and there are other things as well, as mentioned in the panels. In a second, I'll give you my take on things from this vantage point once more. I believe they're significant factors. The concern is, though, how you plan to wait for all of these varying dynamics. The dynamics he describes out here make a lot of sense, and I agree with him. He's made a great point there. The question is, what's the most significant? And that's a lot of fun to debate. That's why I figured I'd throw out my own guess, again, for XRP. Although, I'd argue that it might go either way. Why we have been well aware of the optimistic forecasts for the SEC versus Ripple case. If you take the temperature of social media, and then you know, crypto has been on the rise, that much is evident. The trend has been upward, and those two reasons stand out more than any others. In a word, yes. But maybe he was just as smart as he seemed. In any case, I think that covers it. Yet, this is what the experts on the panel had to say. The recent rise in XRP value has some people wondering why. Is this merely a wild guess? Not in my opinion. Next, he lists several points in bullet form. First and foremost, XRP has been severely undervalued and suppressed for years, even while hundreds of projects have begun construction on top of the XRP ledger and begun employing XRP in a variety of contexts. Third, there are many exciting new features and improvements planned for the XRP ledger and the XRP cryptocurrency in the near future, including smart contract sidechains and automatic market makers. This is both distributed and highly effective. Following years of lies and cover-ups, the world now gets to see its incredible capabilities. Crypto and Ryan Sulkus have fully embraced XRP and performed a comprehensive investigation of the cryptocurrency ledger last week, following years of venomous rhetoric against it. Sixth, the court proceedings may soon be over, with Ripple perhaps winning and XRP being the only cryptocurrency in the United States, and all of these questions can be answered with certainty. This XRP surge is the consequence of a confluence of factors that has generated a virtuous circle. And I don't see any end in sight. Keep that digital gold close and don't let it out of your sight, I tell myself. Well, in terms of enumerating these items, I think he has just about everything right. And if we sat here and did some more thinking and went through all the new advancements and all the minor things, we might come up with some more stuff. All of this has a significant effect. I'm not trying to dispute the evidence he presents. I tend to agree with him. Strong emotional effects are felt. To what extent is unknown, but my intuition tells me that the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit is where it will all end. That hasn't been going so well for the SEC lately since they've significantly overstepped, and you can see the implications on social media and in recent SEC losses for different other instances. Thereafter, our cryptocurrency market's output continued its upward trend. XRP is a portion of it. Its price has been reduced due to an SEC lawsuit, but it is still trading. They are once again moving in line with the rest of the market, whether they are at that level or this level. So, it is functioning as one would expect it to. And in terms of additional funds, always entering crypto and having been here first, and not being able to dollar cost average to the point where my average pricing for XRP are I think about 25 cents. That makes me feel pretty confident. I'm willing to bet that some of you have even worse dollar cost averaging than that. Very excellent, way to go. My lowest XRP purchase price was 15 cents. I'm here to tell you that I survived to the bottom of whatever that was. After the epidemic a few years ago, the price dropped to around 11 cents. Even then, I didn't feel any fear. It's like, whatever, right? You know, you can't expect this to stay forever. What it is, then? And then it skyrocketed from 10 or 11 cents to $2. How long did it take to get back down to the well? A whopping 27.28 cents. After the FTX course, I lost track of time. I'd have to re-examine the data on a graph to be absolutely certain, but the trough could have occurred earlier in the year, perhaps in the summer. The point is, though, that it has not been consistent. None of that has any bearing on whether it will go to infinity or reach a new peak. After more than 5 years, this is merely random behavior. This is a highly uncertain volatile asset class because it has been fluctuating for over half a decade. Not in the least bit shocking. But again, it will either reach a new record high or go to zero. So, what's the ante? You do realize that I'm not a financial counselor and that you should not base any investment decisions on what I say, correct? And please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.